Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Sons fans! What's up? Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV. We're talking about Sons of Anarchy, Season 7, Episode 8, The Separation of Crows. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me, as always, Mr. Stephen Lemieux in the house. Hello. Unfortunately, Kevin Undergaro got pulled away at the last minute, so we got to watch the show with him. We kind of have an idea of his thoughts on it. We can kind of share that with you, but unfortunately, he's not able to join us tonight. Getting started a little bit late to all you live watchers. Hello. So this episode, man, you know, we had this conversation like right before we started watching, Steven, with Kevin, and he asked the question, do we think that a redemption is on its way for Jax? And the actions that he takes in this episode
just say no.
Leave me with a resounding no. And I'm so frustrated because after last week, I thought maybe we were kind of on our way towards something. Like we had reached that second leg of the season where we were starting to move past all of the very negative decisions. And we were just trying to, you know, kind of steamroll our way out of the bad situation that he had put us in at the top of the season. But killing Jury and then saying that he had admitted to being the rat is just unforgivable.
I don't even know, like, there's no redemption for Jax in my mind at this point. Because, like, even if he's redeemed in some way, it's just not enough. Because, like, I mean, I love the character and I love how the story's going. It's just, the whole thing with Jury, it's like I really thought, okay, we're 8 episodes into last season. Final season of the show. We have 5 left. This could have been like the main turning point, not like a hairpin turn, but at least the one thing to put him back on the right track was Jury bringing up John Teller and kind of, hey, reality check. I was a friend with your father before I was in the club. This is what was going through his mind when he died. I'm the only person who's going to give you a straight answer about what was going through his mind. Oh, you put a bullet in my head and then blamed me as being a rat. And the fact that he confessed to being his son and said that I wanted you dead. And then he said,
I feel like you don't say that to the person who's technically your boss if you don't mean it.
And then if you say, but I wasn't the rat, I feel like it's quite justified that you're not the rat.
Yeah. I honestly agree with you. And the fact is, for those of us,
Jax is just a hypocrite at this point. Like, it's not even like enjoyable to see him be a hypocrite. It's like, I'm killing all these people because they killed Tara, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just killed a club member's son.
Well, here's the thing, you know, we all love Jax because who he was when this show began was a very likable character in spite of his outlaw ways, and he had a lot of passion, he had a lot of purity to him, he wanted something better for the club. But what I feel like a lot of us have forgotten is that this show ultimately is a tragedy and will be a tragedy. I know that we have stepped away from the Shakespearean structure that the show was originally going to be based around, you know, largely I think due to Clay having to exit early due to whatever happened last season. But we have to recall that Kurt Sutter cut his teeth on the Shield, which is very much a tragedy, where you have an anti-hero who, in spite of all the terrible things he does, you still like him, you're still compelled by him, and then you watch him, you know, squeak away with what feels like a victory, but ultimately leaves him broken and gives him exactly what he deserves. And I feel like they are putting Jax in this box because after all the things that he said about Clay, after all the things that he said about what the chair does to someone, all of those things have been done to him. Even if he wakes up at the last moment, he does not deserve to get away clean.
No, he doesn't. And it's the fact that he got so mad at him saying that he's Clay, that he's the poison that was in the club, means that he knows it's true.
Well, I think also it either means... it can mean that, but honestly what I think it means is he's so blind to what is actually going on here that his deep denial is what pushed him over that edge. I mean, it's maybe subconsciously he knows, but I think he refuses to admit it on any possible level. And let's talk about Jax kind of throughout this episode. We'll get to Jury in a moment. But he has kind of these two bookending scenes with Chibs in this episode. We have the scene at the top where he's sitting on the roof for the first time, what feels like forever, and his guilt for what's happening to Bobby is so incredibly palpable. And Chibs tells him that, you know, you're our commander. We need you to stay on course. You can't buckle. You can't fall. You can't let this affect you in the way that it obviously is. You have to press on. And I feel like we very much see that this week with him just kind of like pressing through and maybe making some really bad decisions. Like, he's off his game here. Like, Happy, when Happy comes in and says, you know, like, this shit should have already been taken care of with the rat, and he's like, yeah, set it up. He's so not here. He's not here right now.
Yeah.
Where is he? He's with Bobby. He's with Bobby, and he's regretting all of his mistakes.
Well, I was hoping that him regretting his mistakes would lead him to making good decisions, but ultimately we're still trying to figure how deep this rabbit hole of everything being messed up goes before maybe we start crawling our way out. I don't know. Yeah. I'm wondering if we hit the bottom of the hole by the end of the season and don't even see a light.
Well, it's hard to tell. The fact is, it's already episode 8 of this season. We have 5, maybe 6 episodes left, maybe 7 if that's like a huge surprise, but I really, really doubt it. Which means that there isn't a ton of time. There's a lot of information that needs to be delivered to Jax, and a lot of justice that needs to be delivered, and a lot of plot lines that still need to be sewn up, and we don't have a ton of time to do it in. So I'm very concerned that we're not going to be able to get a real, not redemption, but just a thoroughly extended sequence where Jax has to own up for what he has done, where he has to atone, where it's not... I don't want the show to end with him killing Gemma meeting Mr. Mayhem. What's interesting about this episode, the nugget that is planted here about John Teller potentially having killed himself. All this time we thought that it was a conspiracy between Gemma and Clay. We never knew what the pages in John's journal that were ripped out by Piney said. But what if they were his suicide note? We always assumed that it was him detailing the conspiracy between Gemma and Clay. But what if it was him saying, I'm going to take my own life because of what this club has done to me and my family and what it has become?
Do you think that would have ripped the club and family apart if that had gotten out?
I think that it would have. I think between that and between what he details about the growing relationship between Gemma and Clay.
Let me run with something real quick.
Please.
What if John gave the book to Gemma as his last will and testament, and he said, after I'm gone, everybody gets this, and she never gave it to anyone? Because what if what his plan was John Teller was killing himself as a statement to how far the club had gone to maybe wake them up so they'd change. Maybe that's what his life was. His life was he was giving his life so the club could realize and change. And Gemma took that away from him. So that's another realization that we might have with Jax, where we get him finding out about these other pages and realizing that not only has Gemma taken Tara away and led the club down into this new dark road after they were trying to claw themselves out, but she not only did that, but she stole the legacy that John Teller was trying to leave for the changes that he was trying to make.
Well, in regards, I think that that's definitely an interesting take on it, and I think looping Gemma into this is very important. I'm trying to recall where at the beginning of the series Jax finds the journal. If he finds it among Gemma's things, if he finds it at the house, that I think holds a little bit more water. At this point, those pages are long gone. Gemma, I don't even think Gemma knew that the pages were missing. I don't think she knew that Piney took them. I don't think that was it.
They're bringing stuff back from seasons 1 and 2. And
well,
so I think we could have something like like a Grey's Anatomy moment where it's like, oh!
Well, I mean, like the S.H.I.E.L.D. moment, because that's, again, Kurt Sutter learned from working on the S.H.I.E.L.D., and on that show, every single event that ever occurs on the show comes back to bite the protagonist. It's very like cyclical storytelling. It's very much about paying things off. So that's why I'm so concerned about how few episodes we have left, because if we really are going to bring a lot of this stuff back, and I feel like a decent amount of it needs to come back, we don't have a ton of time to do it, especially when we still have a big old gang war to finish up. We're not even close to done with it, I don't think. But here's the thing, and this is why I brought up that point about him killing himself, is what if that's what Jax has to do?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
We're saying that Jax is going to kill himself, sacrifice his own life to send a message that that his own behavior is unacceptable, that can't happen.
But the problem with that is that nobody, I think with what he did to Jury and how that's going to reverberate through the club, and that's why they're saying this, the fire that's going to spread, nobody's going to respect Jax enough that when he dies, they'll give a shit.
That's true, but at the same time, we have to recall that JT had completely checked out of the club by the time that he died.
True.
He had lost a lot of respect within the club community. It's why Clay held so much power at the time.
That's very true. So I don't know. I mean, there's two ways. There's Jax lives or Jax dies, and it's just how it happens. Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah, I think definitely the other side of this coin, of course, is what's going on with Bobby and how that's affecting Jax. He tries to make amends with Moses at the end of this episode, but he makes the mistake of thinking that he can dictate terms. And even then, it's just sort of like, it's a fold. It's basically like, I can't let this happen to Bobby, but I also, I can't give them everything. I can't stay the course, but I can't let everything go. I can't let him murder these people. Like, that's the thing. It's such a division
of how he acts.
Yeah, because he's saying, I won't let Marks murder this innocent woman and her son, but at the same time, he's willing to kill Jury, a member of his own club, without a table meeting, without evidence, without anything. He says it's in self-defense, and maybe in that moment it was, but covering it up in the fashion that he did negates any of that argument. Absolutely, in my mind. Let's talk about Bobby and Moses. We got a couple of great scenes, and some of my favorite scenes that Mark Boone Jr. has had on this show were in this episode between him and Matthew St. Patrick, who I haven't seen on TV since 6 Feet Under ended, I want to say almost 9 years ago. And he's really, really fantastic as Moses. He's an intelligent guy. I sense the menace to him, but at the same time, I love that Bobby calls him on his bullshit. It's a very civilized conversation. This guy is very much in the mindset of, this is completely unemotional. I'm doing what I have to do. I consider myself a soldier. That's how I sleep at night. And, you are my pawn here. You can fix this situation for yourself. And Bobby is just basically like, screw yourself. There's no way. There's no way. You took my eye. There's none of that's gonna happen.
Rat.
Yeah, exactly. And
you just put your cigarette out on this location of the bodies.
No. Absolutely not. And I love these scenes. It's a shame. Seeing Bobby get those fingers cut off was brutal. But it could have been a lot worse. When he said, "You can suck my big white dick," I was like, and then he says, "You got a lot of balls." I'm like, oh man,
he's gonna cut him off.
He's gonna cut off those balls. But no, it was fingers first, because that actually matters more.
The balls are the third to go, Matt.
You're absolutely
Always.
right. On the grand scale of body parts getting chopped off, if you're a biker, it's eyes, then fingers, then balls.
Yeah.
Because those are the three things one needs to sit atop a bike.
Well, a leg would be a big one.
Well, you
if they cut a leg off, that'd be...
No, you could get a prosthesis. Prosthesis, you just got to apply pressure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, before we move on, because we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about, I want to briefly mention iTunes. You know, folks, we say it every week, and only because it's the truth. The best way to support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes, rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It's quick, it's easy, and it supports everything we do here. We put out over 80 hours of free after-show content a week. It's the most after-show content on any platform anywhere in the world. We're very, very proud of it, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of moving parts to make that happen. So, what do your reviews accomplish and your ratings accomplish? I'll tell you, it's how we get our sponsors. We are able to attract sponsors to our network through good reviews, through high amounts of ratings, through high viewership and listenership, which highly rated podcasts draw more listeners. It's just a fact of life. It's how we keep our doors open and our lights on. And it's also the only way that we know that we're doing a good job giving you the best podcast that we possibly can. So, I'm going to also read out some shout-outs. You get a great shout-out here on the show. Great podcast, 5 stars from Mizark. They do a great job recapping the episode and sharing thoughts on the show. A must for all fans of SOA. If you don't listen, Beware the Black Widow will come to get you. 5 stars from Langer Dude. I'm really bummed. I only discovered this podcast at the beginning of season 7 of SOA. I'm really bummed that I was not listening along during the whole run of the show. I'll probably rewatch the entire series and listen to past episodes at the same time. Any new shows I watch, I will be looking for an AfterBuzz podcast. Thank you.
This is one by Scully. It's 1 star. The new guy, Steven, is terrible. Won't be listening again, unfortunately, because of the juvenile commentary of Steven. If you're looking for an educated discussion of Sons of Anarchy, skip this one. Well, thank you for your opinion.
Thank you for your opinion. No, everyone's entitled to their opinion. There's no call for that sound effect. 5 stars from Nessie Pooh. Fell in love. Found you today and can't stop listening. Absolutely love you guys. The show is just great. Keep up the amazingness. We'll definitely share you with others. Thank you. Someone save the boys. Someone save them. By Stormy Woods. 5 stars. Abel and Thomas just rip my heart out every episode. Abel's going to get more violent, I think, because Jax has to remember he has kids at some point. I'm really disappointed that Jax isn't mourning Tara or comforting the boys. Just leaves it as someone else's problem. Wendy telling Abel that she's his biological mom won't help him at all. He needs to be in therapy. Yeah. And after he's been in that for at least a year, then maybe tell him. All right.
A+++++ by Cody Burnett. You guys rock! Thank you for being able to take such an intense show and breaking it down and being quirky as you do it. Totally agree with the Abel prediction, but I don't want to believe it. I just hope Juice stays alive or at least gets to tell Jax keep up the good work. I look forward to listening every week.
All right. Speaking of Juice, let's talk about him. As you said while we were watching, Steven, one of the best parts of this episode is that the first time we see Juice, he's being handed juice.
Aww.
Yeah.
Some juiceception.
Oh, juice for juice. Yeah. And he puts the plan into motion. He has this meeting with Unser and Jerry where he's just got this big swinging dick confidence that's like almost disturbing.
It's almost like he doesn't think Jax is going to kill him after he kills Lynn.
Well, I mean that, but also like he's like acting like he's got one over on Jerry and Unser, like he's got them over a barrel, which I mean like he does with this false testimony. He is the missing link that they require.
Yeah.
But it was just almost like dude, you're being so obviously fake.
Well, I think at this point he knows that they know he's being fake.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, Unser was helping him. Mm-hmm. So Unser knows the deal. Unser knows that the fact that he's still alive, and, like, he knows, so he's just kind of playing him right now.
He knows that Juice is in prison for a reason, but he doesn't know that Juice is lying about who killed Tara.
Yeah, he doesn't know Unser knows that, but...
Well, Unser has his suspicions. He has his suspicions, but nothing is crystallized yet. I love that he's on the case. I love that he's hungry. He's really got a bite of this case, and his detective side is coming out after years of obsolescence.
What do you think of What do you think of Egli being one to help Unser come up with the truth?
I mean, I don't know. Egli wasn't on the scene.
She wasn't, but
Yeah.
I think the problem with Jerry is Unser bounces things off and she just says no. But if he's just gonna talk,
What do you mean?
Egli not, and the problem with Jerry,
Yeah.
she says no because he's like, something doesn't add up here, and she's like, it's fine, it's closed.
Well, I don't think it was as dismissive as that. I think that she just doesn't. She hasn't been here long enough. She doesn't know these people well enough. But it's not super dismissive. Like, you know, like, no, stop digging that tunnel. It's case closed.
But I'm saying Unser can't bounce anything off anyone except for Egli at this point. So I feel like if they come up with something together, like somebody to organize his thoughts, like an outside influence is always great. I mean, that's why people listen to us. I think it might be...
not for the juvenile commentary.
I think it would be cool if Egli is somebody who helps take down Gemma, but it probably gets her killed in the process because they probably think she's talking about the other thing. But... I don't know.
It's entirely possible.
Because Unser's been talking to Egli a lot recently.
Well, yeah, they keep her in the loop. They keep bringing her up. We see her again this week. But also, she's just been on the show for so long. It would definitely be an interesting twist to have her become part of this investigation. But I feel like Unser needs one more tete-a-tete with Juice. He just needs one more face-to-face to see that something's up. I'm very curious. Actually, the thing that's exciting me the very most right now is what is going to be the one thing? What is the one thread that Unser can pull that's going to pull this whole thing apart? I'm very, very curious about what is that one thing, because there's a lot of different threads out there. There's a lot of avenues at this point from which Unser could figure this out, and I almost wonder if it's going to be Abel and Unser, because the only other person who Abel has not seen in a while but is actually very close with is Unser. Yeah.
Well,
Uncle Touchy.
I could see Nero and Unser, and Nero saying that something that he doesn't realize is a big piece of information that Unser is like alarmed by, but I'm not sure how that would go down.
Yeah. In any case, Juice is angling to get a piece of Lynn. Jerry is going to make that happen because she needs this testimony. She needs the heat off Charming, so she's just going to let it happen. And Unser is still on the case, and hopefully he will figure it out soon. So Gemma, who is just the absolute worst. We've said it all season long.
The queen of self-justification.
Oh, yeah. That scene with the pastor's wife was just absolutely brutal, where she's just sort of like, you know, like, I turned him into this. He's a good boy. He was never going to be violent. And Gemma sees the truth in it and then runs away from it. Like, Jax gets his denial from his mother.
Oh, yeah.
Very much.
And that was another key to Courtney Love saying to Gemma, like, it's the things that you do that rub off on them. And that's how you see it with Jax getting his denial from Gemma as well.
Yeah. No, Gemma and her resistance, you principals and teachers and shrinks, you think you can tell us what to do. And I'm just sort of like, yes, they can tell you what to do because they know what's right for the kid.
It's so a throw to what's going on with like schools nowadays, where it's never the kid's fault, it's always the teacher's fault. Like, maybe your kid's just an ass.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your kid just grabbed a lunchbox and bashed a kid over the face because he felt like it,
or because he found out that his grandmother killed his mother.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Enough.
Yeah, how crushing was it in that scene between Abel and Gemma, where she's like, you know what an accident is? And he's like, do you? And oh man, I'm blown away by what's going on here between these two. I want to know what you think Abel actually thinks happened. He's basically saying, like, I know that it wasn't an accident. That's my take on it. Is like, I know that what you did to my mom was not an accident. Or is he saying that murder is murder is murder even if it is an accident?
I think he's saying that there are some things that, no matter if they're an accident or not, there's a level at which things can't be considered an accident anymore.
Right.
Like, oh, I didn't like him, so I bashed his head in with the lunchbox. Like, you can't consider that an accident.
No. And it wasn't an accident. That was actually on purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like her killing Tara. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert if you haven't been paying attention for 2 seasons.
Well, 1 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, this season.
Hopefully you've been watching all the way. Somebody just tweeted, Atlanta girl, Schaefer April 11MY, said, is Chucky the rat? Worked for Triad, Sons of Anarchy turned him back to Lynn in season 1. Good listener, Club Pet.
Well, let's talk about it, because frankly, I was convinced that Jury was the rat. And based on how he acquitted himself before Jax just straight up murdered him, I'm pretty convinced that he's not now. But who else could it be? It would have to be a club member.
I hate myself for coming up with the theory that Rat's the rat, because it's just so obvious that he'd probably just do it just because it's so obvious and no one would ever think because it's so obvious.
It's not Rat. Rat would not rat on the club, okay? Just because he looks like a rat and his name is Rat does not mean that he would rat necessarily.
But
he has no cause to do so. He has no cause to do so.
The only thing I could see is what's his face, Borowski. Borowski. Because he knew.
Yeah.
He knew where the guns were, and then he killed that guy really quickly before he could even say anything really, or get a confession out of him.
It's an interesting theory, especially considering that I have no better ones. And usually I'm the guy, I have at least one.
It's literally it has to be Borowski or Rat as a joke that Kurt's just like, Rat.
It's too late for
Borowski.
Jokes. Yeah. Interesting. But what does Borowski gain from that?
I mean, if he wants to get rid of the Sons.
But he's done so. He did so much for them even after that went down. Like in the aftermath of that, he killed people. He shot a guy in the face for them because he had let that location loose.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy, it was a troublemaker to begin with. It's an easy thing to just kill somebody.
Okay.
To cover his own tracks.
That's very interesting.
So the only person I can think of at this point is Borowski. Borowski has been kind of very shady to begin with his whole things with Nero, with everything with Alvarez and Nero, setting up the guys like.
Okay, I hear you.
If Borowski's playing at the more Brown, like with Alvarez more, then they have reason.
But Oso has been up his ass all season long. It doesn't make sense to me that he would side with the people who've been treating him like crap and being poor business partners.
What if Borowski's on Mark's side?
Now that would be interesting. That would be very interesting. We'll have to see how that shapes up next week. Real quick before we wrap up, unfortunately, we got started late tonight, so we have to cut it very short.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes.
And we will do our best to give you a full-length episode next week. Nero bringing up once again that he intends to go to this farm with Gemma and Wendy and the boys. And Wendy says Jax and Gemma will never let these boys leave here. And he's like, well, after today, why wouldn't they? How could you stay? I suppose we'll find out.
Everything felt so nice right there. I was like, they're going to kill Nero. They're going to kill Nero. It's just going to be a bullet, straight bullet.
Well, it's just sort of like, you know what? There's just a far-off farm somewhere. There's no way that Nero survives this series. There's no way. There's a reason why he never got to be a part of the opening credit sequence 3 seasons into his stay on the show. Do you know what I mean?
We also have to mention that when they went back to the house, all her birds were cut in half, and it said no son is safe with a knife through the eye. So Mark's was at their house, and then Gemma burying her birds at the end, being so sad. I'm like, out of all the things that have been caused by your lie, Gemma, you have to bury your birds.
It's the first thing that she's actually lost.
Hate you, Gemma.
Yep. All right. Predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
So next week we are still knee-deep in crap. Bobby is still in custody, and hopefully we get a juice. Honestly, I'm gonna call it now. I feel like next week we need to get by end of episode, Unser knows. I feel like Unser knows by the end of next week's episode.
Very end, like last scene, Unser finds out officially.
Officially, because with only four episodes left after that, that's not a ton of time to blow this whole thing out. Because even after Unser figures it out, there's no way that Jax is going to believe him. We have to figure out a way to get Jax to believe him. There's a lot to be done. What do you think, Steven?
I think Unser gets Lynn out of what's AdSeg. I think Unser pulls strings to get Lynn out of AdSeg, and I think he traps Juice in there to get Juice to tell him.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that, moving Lynn out of AdSeg and saying you can't get your passage back into the club until you tell me what really happened.
I think I'm trying to figure out where we're going with Abel. I would say that next episode Abel's going to say something that is not going to be taken seriously.
Okay, fair enough. All right, folks, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Sons of Anarchy After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We will do a longer one next week, I promise. Stephen Lemieux, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, STPHENLEMIEUX, as well as in the Sleepy Hollow After Show here at 11 p.m. on Tuesdays. That's Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, and you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MATTLIEBERMAN. You can find all my videos for SourceFed, SourceFed Nerd, and on my personal channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Matthew D. Lieberman. I want to thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week. Good night.
Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.